I honestly did not care whether I lived or died. But now, I can...
You think if he... you think if he didn't go to death row, would he still be alive?
It's hard to say.
I can't leave until this straight. You know, I can't go until y'all really know what time it is.
If the case was never closed at all. Because now, decades later, Tupac's own brother, Tupac Shakur, is speaking out, and what he's saying changes everything we thought we knew. From Diddy's late-night phone calls to secret federal files labeled Cuba, and even recordings tying hip-hop's biggest mogul to one of music's greatest mysteries. This story is far from over. And by the end of this video, you might never look at Tupac's death the same way again. Tupac Shakur, Tupac's brother, recently sat down with Piers Morgan, and what he revealed has the hip-hop world stunned. This isn't some random conspiracy theorist on YouTube. This is Tupac's family, someone who grew up with him, lived with him, and understood him better than anyone else. And when Piers asked him about Diddy's repeated denials, those countless times Diddy swore he had nothing to do with Tupac's death, Tupac didn't flinch. He doesn't believe Diddy. Not then. Not now. Back in 2008, Diddy reached out to Tupac directly through radio host Big Boy. On that call, Diddy begged him to believe he had nothing to do with Tupac's murder. But Tupac's response was short and haunting. The truth always comes out.
What did he say that day when he called you?
You know, I have my guys with me, thug life guys, and we heard what he had to say. He basically said he ain't have nothing to do with my brother's murder.
17 years later, those words are starting to look prophetic. Because today, Diddy's empire is collapsing. Federal raids, racketeering charges, witnesses talking, and Tupac, sitting calmly on national television, is planting seeds of doubt that could change everything.
I get the feeling quite strongly that you don't believe Diddy. I don't think you believe a word of it.
It seems like he got a whole bunch of power, like absolute power. The boy Puffy called me though. Puffy called me back in the day. He called me, he was like, I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brothers. You know, I know who you are, but we never met.
Here's where the story explodes. For decades, Diddy has denied any connection to Tupac's death. But behind the scenes, federal investigators have reportedly been sitting on recordings, interrogation tapes where Diddy's name comes up 47 times in relation to Tupac's shooting. 47 times. These aren't rumors. These aren't street whispers. These are official federal interrogation tapes featuring Dwayne "Keefe D. Davis, the man who has now been charged in connection with Tupac's murder. And according to Keefe D's alleged statements, Diddy offered millions of dollars for both Tupac and Suge Knight's heads.
Suge looks over, he sees you.
Yeah.
He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looks at me.
And you didn't say nothing.
I didn't say nothing. Yeah, you're right.
There's also, you go into the book, that apparently there was supposed to be $1 million.
But Diddy was rattled enough by street talk and whispers that he reached out through radio host Big Boy to set up a conversation with Tupac. Picture that phone call. Diddy's probably got his whole team around him, maybe even lawyers, and he's trying to convince Tupac's brother that he had absolutely nothing to do with the shooting, swearing up and down that he's innocent. One quote stands out: "I'll give anything for that dude's head." Think about it. Why would prosecutors hold onto these recordings for decades if they weren't important? And why charge Keefe D based on his own confession unless they believed his statements were credible? Something isn't adding up, and we're only scratching the surface. Fast forward to 2025. Federal agents raid Diddy's mansions. They're not even looking for Tupac-related evidence. They're investigating financial crimes, racketeering, and other charges. But in the middle of it all, they find something shocking: files labeled Cuba. And that single word sends shockwaves through the hip-hop world. Why? Because for years, there's been a theory that Tupac didn't actually die in Las Vegas.
We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there.
Instead, he escaped to Cuba, under the protection of Fidel Castro's government. And this isn't just some internet rumor. Tupac's own aunt, Assata Shakur, has been living in Cuban exile since 1984 after escaping from a U.S. prison. If anyone had the political connections to make an escape possible, it was her. Then there's Michael Nice, Tupac's former bodyguard, who claimed for years that Tupac was secretly smuggled out of Las Vegas the night of the shooting. He described switching bodies at the hospital, arranging a private jet to Barbados, and finally flying Tupac to Cuba, where he supposedly lived under government protection. People laughed at him, dismissed him as crazy, but before he could release what he called proof, Michael Nice mysteriously vanished. No goodbyes, no explanations. Gone. And now, with federal investigators uncovering Cuban files in Diddy's personal archives, suddenly, everything changes. If those files connect Diddy to Cuba, it could mean one of two things. Either Diddy knew Tupac was alive, or he helped keep it a secret. Here's where the inconsistencies pile up. The official coroner's report listed Tupac's height and weight incorrectly, an impossible mistake for one of the most high-profile deaths in music history. The cremator who supposedly handled Tupac's body, he retired immediately afterward and vanished from the profession entirely.
Tupac Shakur didn't actually die in '96 and is still alive and well.
And then there's the shooting itself. September 7th, 1996. The night of a Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas. The city was packed. Thousands of people on the Strip. Yet somehow, no one clearly saw the shooter. No reliable witnesses. No vehicle descriptions. Nothing. Suge Knight, who was sitting right next to Tupac when he was shot, has been hinting for years that something about the official story doesn't make sense. In a 2014 interview, he said bluntly, "Why you think nobody's been arrested? Because Tupac's not gone."
Part of Tupac's legend is that he'd been shot 5 times and survived before that fateful night here in Las Vegas in 1996. And because of that, Tupac's legacy has always been linked to Vegas.
Piece by piece, the narrative starts to crumble. Today, federal prosecutors are building a case against Diddy that goes far beyond music. They're painting Bad Boy Records as a criminal enterprise, one allegedly involved in racketeering, kidnapping, coercion, and blackmail. Those infamous freak-off parties? Prosecutors claim they were real. Private events where compromising footage was recorded and allegedly used to control people in the industry for years. If that's true, imagine what Diddy was capable of in the 90s, when there was less scrutiny and the stakes were higher. Witnesses in Tupac's case went silent. Evidence disappeared. And for decades, justice never came.
I ain't the killed Tupac, I'm the protected Tupac. But at the same time, bitch ass Puffy can give him a star, and every rat in the world said he didn't want to kill Tupac.
That used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice.
But now, with federal investigators tearing through Diddy's empire, those buried secrets might finally see the light of day. So here's where we stand. Federal investigators have recordings tying Diddy to Tupac's shooting. They found secret Cuban files in his personal archives. Witnesses are resurfacing after decades of silence. And Tupac's own brother is publicly questioning the official story. If the Cuba files are released, they could reveal one of two shocking truths. Either Tupac really did die in Las Vegas, or he survived, and some of the most powerful people in music and government worked together to keep it hidden. And if that's true, we're not just talking about Tupac anymore. We're talking about an international conspiracy involving government agencies, music industry titans, and criminal enterprises, all tied to one of the greatest mysteries in modern history. Because one thing is becoming clearer by the day. Mopreme was right. The truth always comes.
The inconsistencies don't stop there. The coroner's report listed Tupac's height and weight incorrectly, an impossible mistake for one of the world's most high-profile deaths. The cremator who supposedly handled Tupac's body retired immediately after the job and vanished. The night of the shooting, Las Vegas was packed. A Mike Tyson fight had just ended. Thousands of people were on the Strip. Cameras everywhere. And yet somehow, no one saw the shooter. No solid eyewitnesses. No reliable vehicle descriptions. Suge Knight, who was sitting right next to Tupac when he was shot, has hinted for years that something about the official story doesn't make sense. In a 2014 interview, he said, "Why you think nobody's been arrested? Because Tupac's not gone." Little by little, the puzzle pieces start to fall apart. Federal prosecutors are now painting Bad Boy Records as more than just a music label. They're calling it a criminal enterprise, accusing Diddy of racketeering, coercion, kidnapping, and even blackmail. Remember those infamous freak-off parties people joked about for years? Prosecutors now allege they were real. Secret events where compromising footage was recorded and used to control some of the most powerful people in the industry. If that's true, imagine what Diddy was capable of in the 90s, when there was less scrutiny, fewer cameras, and higher stakes. Witnesses in Tupac's case went silent. Evidence disappeared. Leads went cold. But now, in 2025, with federal investigators dismantling Diddy's empire, those secrets may finally come to light. So here's where we stand today. Federal agents have interrogation tapes where Diddy's name comes up 47 times. They've discovered Cuban files in his personal archives. Witnesses are resurfacing after decades of silence. And Tupac's own brother is openly questioning the story we believed for nearly 30 years. If these Cuban files are released, they could reveal one of two shocking possibilities. Either Tupac truly died in Las Vegas, or he survived, and some of the most powerful people in music, government, and organized crime work together to hide the truth. Because one thing is certain, if Mopreme Shakur is right, and the truth really is coming out, everything we thought we knew about Tupac, Diddy, and hip-hop history is about to change forever. As the tension builds, it becomes clear that Mopreme's fight isn't just about one brother seeking justice. It's about the very soul of hip-hop itself. It's about the heavy price of silence, and the brutal truth that in this industry, power doesn't always win because it's right. It wins because it's ruthless enough to bury the truth at any cost. So, we turn the question to you. Are we standing on the edge of a historic downfall, the unraveling of a mastermind, the unmasking of the true architect behind one of the darkest nights in music history? Or will this become just another mystery? Another scandal locked away in the vaults of the rich and powerful, never to be solved? Share your thoughts, your theories, and your wildest hunches in the comments below. Because in the world of celebrity secrets, nothing stays hidden forever. Until next time, stay alert, keep questioning everything, and remember, silence doesn't always mean the truth is gone.